Happy New Year! It's Julian with Hardware to Hoe. I'm here today because we're bottling some sparkling wine. And this year is actually going to be a non-vintage wine, which is very common for, like, say, champagne, you know, the most famous of sparkling wines. And it is some estate Charonnay that we grew this year and picked very early, you know, because we want the right acidity, we don't want the alcohol too high. And when you're making sparkling wine, especially a traditional style, you want to pick grapes early, not only for these reasons, but because you don't want too much varietal character. You know, you almost want like a very delicate and, dare I say, like even insipid kind of base wine, because so much of the flavor comes from the lees, which are the dead or dormant yeast cells in the bottle that impart like a nutty or even amaretto character on the wine over time. And the more delicate your base wine is, the more opportunity there is to capture some of those nutty, beautiful flavors. Also takes a lot of time. You know, some traditional wines are aged for years in tirage, but that's not what we're doing with this wine. You see, this is going to be sold probably within a year from today. So it's only maybe going to spend 9 months in tirage, and we're only going to get a little bit of that, you know, yeasty lees character. If we weren't going to add any other wine, there's a risk that this might just kind of lack a little oomph or just be a little boring or too linear. So what we've decided to do is take a bit of Marsanne. It's a barrel-aged white that we made the previous year. And so it's a much rounder wine. It brings a lot of fruit character, you know, like a lot of stone fruit, like apricot, pear, quince. So I thought it was a good fit to add some body and add some similar character to lees aging without really the necessity of leaving it in tirage for years. So it'll be kind of an interesting wine because it's completely different than our more traditional stylings we've done in the past. And I'm excited to see what we can do in a very short amount of time with this new method. So very exciting. You can see this is our bottle filler. This is a counter pressure filler made for bottling, you know, already carbonated beverage, but it's kind of multi-purpose. We just kind of ignore the side of it and just use it because it's handy and it's here. So this wine has yeast and sugar added back into it. And so the yeast that's in here consume the sugar and they produce CO2. And because this is a sealed bottle, the CO2 that's produced gets captured, right? So pressure builds in the bottle, the CO2 dissolves into the solution. And when we pop the top, CO2 comes out of solution. And that's where we get our bubbles. These bottles will sit on their side for about 6 months when we'll start disgorging them. When the bottle is on its side here, the lees will collect kind of along the side here and you get more surface area. So you get more flavor character from the lees, because a big part of sparkling wine is those lees characters that are imparted into the wine by these dead yeast cells. And so by having the vines on their side, you're maximizing kind of your surface area and increasing the development of those flavors. And so once these are all settled out, they'll settle out to be quite clear. They'll flocculate is the technical term to the bottom. And then we will start our disgorging process. Disgorging is the process of removing that sediment. But before we can disgorge, we need to get that sediment into the neck of the bottle where we can eject it from there, right? And this process is called riddling. So we have here a riddling rack. And so this holds about 10 cases of wine. It stands like an A-frame, you know, like a sandwich board sign. This rolls out, and then, you know, we stick bottles in here. It holds them at about a 45. The lees is going to collect kind of in the shoulder of the bottle, and we turn it about a quarter turn twice a day. And over time, the lees is going to kind of collect in the shoulder and then roll down into the neck of the bottle here. We have these nifty little widgets. This is what's called a bidule. B-I-D-U-L-E, and this is like a little cup that collects the sediment. This is going to help us get a nice clean disgorgement, meaning, you know, we get all of that sediment out and the wine remaining is nice and clean, nice and clear, no haze or anything, and it looks nice and pretty. Then we store them vertically on their head until we're ready to do this disgorgement process. And when we go to disgorge, we will actually freeze the necks of these bottles and flip them upright and open. And the pressure that's been built by the yeast in this bottle will eject that slug of sediment. We'll top it up with a little, you know, filling wine. We might add a little sugar if we want a sweeter wine at that point. And then we recap it and we're ready to label and release it. It's fun to do these little projects. Everything's done, you know, by hand, which It's a labor of love, but it just really adds a personal touch to the wine that you can't get with mechanization, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our video. We're new to YouTube, so find us there, but also we're all over social media, so Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to learn more about our wines, check out hardrow.com. Thanks.